middle, or maybe we can call it a Zen koan, a sublime paradox, that last one before so-called liberation. Two sides of the coin. What's in the middle? We know many stories about that King Karun el Rashid and how it was his habit to discard his royal raiments and go out in the garb of an ordinary man to mix with the citizens of his kingdom. There's one such occasion when Karun el Rashid was walking abroad, visiting the coffee shops and the establishments of his citizenry. But he forgot to remove a priceless ruby ring from his finger. And as he was walking around the town, there was a thief who had honed his skills over many years to be able to recognize precious gems when he saw them. So he zeroed in on Karun el Rashid and followed him around the town, hoping that there would be an opportunity for him to make that theft. And as it happened, the day was very, very hot. So when King Karun el Rashid came into the city's square, and there in the middle of the square was that fountain. And in the fountain were kept those famous carp fish of many colors that are so famous even today. So he went over and dipped his hands in the fountain to cool his brow. But as he did so, his ruby ring slipped from his finger. But within a trice, one of the fish swallowed the ring. So the thief, watching this take place and not seeing the fish gobble the ring, thought this was his opportunity. But when he went over to the fountain, the ring was not to be found. So he abandoned his quest and began to follow a merchant who was wearing emerald necklace around his neck. But King Karun el Rashid noticed that his ring was missing. But he thought to himself, well, perhaps this was an indication that he is too attached to worldly things, and the loss of this precious ring was teaching him non-attachment. But it so happened that in the harem of King Karun el Rashid, there was a maiden, a coffee-colored maiden, a slave girl from Ethiopia, perhaps, who was a handmaiden of the head queen of Karun el Rashid. Her name was Zukiya, and Zukiya was very often scolded roundly, punished by the head queen, because she loved to go down to the little pond in the garden of the harem and take out one of the koi fish that were swimming around there to feel its sleek scales to see its glistening colors. And as it happened, Zukia, down there on a day, taking out one of the fish from the pond, the harem cat came along and grabbed the fish out of her hand, went off and very quickly devoured it. Now Zukia knew that there are always 12 fish in that pond, and now there were only 11. So, being an intelligent, clever young being, she had a plan. But you know, all women are supposed to be kept in the harem, so she had to find a way to escape from the harem to fulfill her plan. So she had to approach the eunuch who guarded the women in the harem to find a ploy to make her way out of the harem, out of the palace. So taking a bowl and covering it over with a cloth, she went to the head eunuch and said, "I have to go to town because my queen wants some special yogurt with honey from a trader that is there." Well, the eunuch, of course, said, "You know that you're not allowed out," and of course, but no, I have to obey. My queen, she's told me that I have to bring this from this certain shop. So the eunuch, of course, bowing to the superior power, said, "Well, make sure that you come back before I lock the gates, because you know you'll be locked out and that'll be the end of you." So Zukia slipped out and, of course, made her way to the fountain in the middle of the town and scooped out one of the fish in the fountain, which of course you can surmise was the one that had swallowed the ring. She put it in the bowl and took it back to the harem just in time before the eunuch closed the gates for the evening, and she quickly went and put the coloured koi in the fountain of the garden of the harem, which made 12. So it was the day passed on, and King Karun el Rashid had gone about his day, had his shower, his ablutions, and as was the habit, he went off to the harem to be greeted by his queens and his concubines and titillated and all of those things that happened in harems. And when they were gathered around him, the head queen said to Karun el Rashid, "Where is the ruby ring that my father gave us on our wedding day?" King Karun el Rashid said, "Well, I was out and about today and the ring must have slipped off my fingers, and I think it's teaching me the lesson that I should be unattached." "Oh no, said the queen, "we must find that ring." And so she said, "Call the old soothsayer, the crone, bring her here immediately." And of course this was said to Zukia, and Zukia quickly went off to bring the old hag with her matted hair and her dirty shawl and so forth, and the queen demanded demanded, tell me, where is this ring? So the old hag, as a habit, she closed her eyes and did a bit of mumbo-jumbo down here. She said, it's in a dark place. I see that it's in a dark place. Where, said the queen, and with a frown on her face, the old crone is concentrating, a little bit of dribble coming out of her. You know how these things are. And she said, I see it. It's in this harem. It's here in... What? Said the queen. What? Said the queen. More. What more? So again the old hag says, yes, it's in a fish. I see it now. It's in that fish that she brought back from the town square. Now, Zakia, of course, was caught out, and what could she do? She had to fall at the queen's feet and beg forgiveness and told her what had happened. Well, of course, the queen was about to have her beaten and sent away, but Karun el Rashid intervened and said, wait, let's see what happens here. And Zakia said, I can show you the fish. It's the blue one with the blue scales. So they all went down to the pond in the garden of the harem, and they fished out the blue finned koi, and of course with the shock of being taken out of the water it cocked up the ring.
Oh.
Well, of course the queen was able then to place it back on the king's finger in its rightful place, and King Karun el Rashid intervened on Zakia's behalf to say, the ring has been found. She has played her part in this little earthly drama. I'm making up those words to make a point of it. And so the story was completed. So I guess there are several questions that arise from this that come to mind. And we could ask, who is the most important character in this story? Is it the king? Is it the crone? Is it Zakia? Is it the fish? And what for us is or does the ruby ring represent? Remembering our riddle, our koan, what's in the middle? There's the paradox, the two sides of the coin that confronts us in this final location before liberation. And instead of trying to ascertain, clarify what these two sides of the paradox are, to zero in, to ask the question, or make this riddle, what's in the middle? So these questions, what's the main character in this story, and what does the ruby ring signify for us? Now remember, it's a riddle or a koan, and we know riddles and koans cannot be reconciled in our mind with the machination of mind. So we're forced to go to the middle. Where is it? What is this middle? But first, if we, in our endeavor to answer this riddle, and we can't answer it with our mind like a Zen koan, we have to go to the middle. Isn't it so? So these questions are put to us as a riddle, as a koan, that we can recognize cannot be solved with our mind. So we're forced to go to where we can find the answers. So it answers our paradox at the same time, reconciles it for us. Just like at every moment in life, we have the meeting of stillness and movement, and time and timelessness. No thought required to bring them together. What is this middle? Thank you.